Okay, so now let's look at that audience. I know that when you work with professionals around the world on these topics, you talk about creating a persona. You talk about personifying the audience. How do you do that?
Personas are particularly successful, but because it helps organizations understand the very center of the target. So personas are really archetypes of the individual at the center of the target for your organization's message. There are a number of steps we go through to develop personas, but the key for organizations to understand is they're based on research. They're not based on intuition. So it's about interviewing people in the target market, following them and seeing what their daytime experiences are, learning about the target market from external stakeholders, learning about the target market from secondary research that's been done, crafting a real understanding of who the target user is. And we've seen this be tremendously successful for organizations across categories. A major drugstore here in the United States has used personas to help understand the aging population in the United States and how their shelving needs to be recrafted to serve an older American. So they're using actually a suit that mimics aging, the arthritis in your hands, what it's like to stand up, your ability to see the signs, and they've lowered the signs, they've made the shelves so it's easy to reach without asking for assistance, and they've increased the size of the type on the sign placards so that people could see them as they continue to age. And their goal is really to appeal to that target market.
So if I was to apply this to our case study, Sen Shu, and here we have young men aspiring to be in the middle class. Great. We know something about them in China because that's where the company started. If they were going to move into Europe or Latin America or Africa, somewhere else, the company, what would be some of the steps that they would want to go through to not just get this thumbnail stereotype of the young man, but really go through the process you outlined?
I think the case study is particularly interesting because it focuses on a moment in someone's life when they're having an aspirational feeling towards the middle class. Yet, when you look at it across cultural boundaries, we're realizing it's not the same thing to be aspirational in China that it is to be aspirational in Norway. And ultimately, the way to study that is really to spend time with people in the target market. Follow them, see what their days are like, see what they spend their time doing, talk to them, understand what's really valuable, because it's going to help you understand how designing clothes, designing accessories are truly going to serve the target market regardless of the cultural boundaries.
So when I'm thinking about delivering content where, when, and how someone wants it, you're really saying then that for the person who's busy at home in the morning and at noon and coming into work, it might be good to go back to, quote, old-fashioned media, like a big banner that tells something as a story and that isn't there most days and suddenly appears. Is that what you're saying?
It is what I'm saying, and I think it's really important that we stop looking at media as old and new media and start looking at media that meets people where they are. So if you think about communities where mass transportation is the primary way that people circulate throughout the community, we start to see print media work quite well if it's available through mass transportation outlets. People pick something up, they read it when they're bored, and they leave it for someone else to consume. However, if you think about a community where people primarily move around through cars, we certainly don't want people reading while they're driving a vehicle, then all of a sudden we have to think about iPods, music, something that's more audible, something that's read at home after the commute as a way to communicate with people.